Peace, and welcome to another installment of the Grown Man Shift podcast. I'm your host, Baith Noordine, and today's podcast is a solo one-ish, because technically he's not a guest, but he's helping me out with this episode today to kind of bring some levity to why the Grown Man Shift, why now, why this. Why a podcast? Why the Grown Man Shift? Why name it that? Where am I at in this journey with putting all of this stuff together, and how it all kind of got kicked off, right? So I'm going to introduce my youngest son, Mr. the legend himself, Kingston. Was good.
What's up?
I appreciate you wanting to read the questions for me.
I feel like I had to do something.
I mean, you could have been chilling in your own world, and I appreciate you wanting to participate. So thank you. It was his idea. He's like, I'm telling him what I'm doing today. I'm recording a podcast just to keep myself accountable to the day and the time that I say that I'm going to do this, so I can have content ready to put out and distribute, to build this community. And he was like, yo, Dad, can I read the questions? I'm like, you know what? It's not a bad idea. So unbeknownst to him, he's sort of the guest today. So I'm going to have him ask these questions. All of this started with a journal entry that I wrote down. And the journal entry is as follows. For a very long time, I've been so afraid to be sure about me, to live with a level of trust in myself, my thoughts, and feelings. Now the mission of 45 is to actually live the life that I say I love with purpose, on purpose. And I took that journal entry to ChatGPT, and I had ChatGPT come up with questions and tips to navigate through this space in my mind. And I'm hoping that it helps some other male, along on your journey to maybe be a little bit introspective and ask these questions to yourself. In typical Grown Man Shift fashion, I never give the questions beforehand. I never send them to guests. There's not a got you surprise thing, but I don't want it to be rehearsed or practiced or anything. And once I was able to generate these questions, I never really revisited them. I read them, but there's like 30 questions. So Kingston's going to pick 10, one in each category, because there's 3 in each category. He's going to pick one, not my choosing, whatever he want to choose, right?
Whatever order.
And we just going to rock. So without further ado, first question, please, sir.
1. The journey to self-trust. How does self-doubt manifest in everyday decisions?
How does self-doubt manifest in everyday decisions? My level of follow-through hasn't been 100%. Like a lot of times I'll take things to like 89%. And then that other 11%, for whatever reason, I just don't push through. And I believe that's because there's a certain level of doubt that I'll accomplish it, or once it's accomplished, is it going to be received? And if it's received, is it going to be useful? And if it's going to be useful, who's going to be using it? And the list goes on. So there is a level of self-doubt when it comes to following through, making the decision to follow through, which is why we're here today, because I came up with a schedule to do something, and I haven't really been on it the way that I set up the plan. Like I just didn't. And before I fall into a space where now I'm not executing because of fear or doubt or whatever buzzword, you know what I mean? I'm working on it, So how does it show up? It shows up in a lot of different weird, tricky ways.
It can show up good. It can show up mean. It can show up literally different.
Yeah,
Any other way.
that's true. That's true. Do you have um your own version of that? Like, do you know what self doubt is?
Like when you doubt
Mm-hmm.
yourself and your like the actions that you have.
Mm-hmm. That's a good definition. Do you doubt yourself?
It depends like what I'm doubting myself on.
Like,
Like if it's getting a bad grade in school,
mm-hmm.
then yeah, I'm hard on myself because I know I can do better. I know I can achieve a better grade. I know I can do good on this.
Okay, it's not bad. It's not bad.
I went to her for 10 years old.
You hilarious. So, second question.
Second
Shoot.
question. Second category. Overcoming fear of certainty.
Okay.
What are the biggest fears when it comes to being sure of who you are? So basically like what your self fears are.
Yeah. What's the question? What's the last part of the question?
What are the biggest fears when it comes to what are the biggest fears when it comes to being sure of who you are?
Biggest fears of being sure who I am is that when I'm sure of who I am, the people who doubt or the people who may doubt who I am, who I say I am, that it's not going to be good enough. The person that I am is not going to be good enough. So the reason for doing this podcast is to slowly build the muscle to leave that part of decision making out, so that it doesn't matter what other people think. In terms of I define who I am, and other people can either accept that or not. And if they don't accept it, I don't feel any type of way that they don't accept it.
Because you don't care of what other people think.
Because I shouldn't care what other people think. If I'm serving, if I'm being integral, like if I have integrity in what I'm doing, if I'm being intentional with what I'm doing and I'm putting positive energy into what I'm doing, it doesn't matter if a few negative people have something to say. It doesn't matter if somebody looks at it and be like, I don't like it. It's not for you then. It's for the people who do and who will gain a benefit from it. You know what I mean? What about you?
For me,
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest fears, now that I'm 10 years old, about to be a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
some of the fears that I've been having when it comes to myself, is what I said earlier, like being hard on myself. I don't want that to happen to me all the time. Because I know I can achieve greater things.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can believe in myself.
Okay.
I know I can do all that stuff.
Okay. It's fair. I mean, the reason why I say what I say to you and I do my best to model the behavior. Like, I'm not going to tell you to do something that I'm not going to do or I'm unwilling to do, right? So when I'm telling you something based off of my journey and what I've observed. Some of the habits and traits and things that I have, that I know you have, that may or may not be good. I want to make sure that I'm encouraging you to be okay with being your best self, to be okay with achieving more and achieving greatness and not falling short from that. Because what good am I as a dad if I can't even teach you how to do things, if I can't even show you how to do things, you know? That's just my interpretation of it. But, you know, to each his own, you know? Mine's isn't a hard rule for every other dad or every other man or every other person to follow. It's just in our dynamic, because you are my child, I just want to make sure that when I'm putting my foot in front of me, I'm showing you a good example of what exactly does that look like, you know? Next question.
Third category.
Okay.
Living with purpose. What does it mean? How do you discover what your true purpose is?
Hmm.
So basically, where you find your true purpose, like how are you going to find it, and what are you gonna do with it?
Okay. Well, I don't have um I don't have a rule on how to find purpose. I think purpose is whatever you find that you have the ability or skill or know-how or resources to be of service, right? So my purpose now is being of service to men who are on a journey to mature, who have been on a maturation journey, and who may want to discuss, who may want to seek out other men who are like minded to navigate through this space. You're 10, but eventually you're going to be a grown man. You may or may not have kids. You may or may not have a wife. You may not. You may. My goal is to leave breadcrumbs for you, for your older brother, for other men that you hang out with, that he hangs out with, that I hang out with, that hopefully there's some nugget in there that helps them understand or make sense of or gain a different perspective on what their maturing journey looks like, you know? So I found my purpose in my own pain, my own um, view of myself and what I'm experiencing now. I know I can't be the only one because I have conversations with other men who are like, bruh, I'm figuring that thing out, figuring this thing out, and being married, and I've been married for 3 years, and I'm having this situation, or I got a kid that's this age, and I'm navigating through this situation. But while navigating through that situation, I'm also navigating through my own self worth, my own growth, my own maturity, my own perspective, my own, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't think there's like a hard rule to finding purpose, but I think if you see that there's something happening in the world around you and you have the ability to do something, that can be your purpose. No?
Fourth category:
Okay.
the power of authentic living.
Mm.
What are the biggest challenges when it comes to living authentically?
Ooh.
The true question is, what does authentic even mean?
Authentic means real, it means honest,
So living an honest
genuine,
life.
like a genuine life where when you're doing things for people, you're genuinely doing it for them. You're not doing it to get something in return. You're doing it
For
because you're
those people.
genuinely doing it, right? You help somebody do something, you're not helping them because you want them to help you in return. You're helping them because you're able and willing to do so, you know? So navigating authentically does get tough because the world does tell you to be yourself, and then you become yourself, and then there's a version of yourself that's not liked or appreciated or welcomed in certain spaces, certain people, certain ways. So that does get um
Little tough.
a little tough, a little tricky at times because you have to we don't live on this planet by ourselves. We live in the same house. I know I don't live by myself. So there's certain things that I can and cannot do. There's certain things that I will and will not do. There's certain things that
You have to and you don't have to.
exactly. And in doing and moving around in that, there's a certain level of authenticity that you have to bring, and there's a certain level of authenticity that you have to receive in order for it to like make sense. You know what I mean? It's like every time I ask you to do something at home, you only do it because I'm giving you something. Take out the trash. All right, I'll take out the trash, but are you buying me a toy? clean your room. Well, I'll clean my room, but are you buying me something new? You get me? You're not really authentically doing these things. You're doing these things because
To get something.
exactly. You feel me? So it can get tricky, but it's important to have a baseline of authenticity with yourself, how you feel about you, the confidence that you have, the trust. That's what confidence means, trust. The self-confidence or self-trust that you have with you that allows you to be the same person in whatever room that you in, no matter who you're around, so forth and so on. You know? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Next.
Fifth category. Breaking free from self-imposed limitations. Can you share moments when you felt you broke through your own barriers? Me personally, yes, I do think so. But it depends what the conversation is.
Well,
Or what the moment is, like what I'm talking about.
okay. So, a moment that I broke the barrier. What was the question again?
It was, can you share moments when you feel like you broke through your own barriers? If so, can you share one?
Okay. Moment was starting this podcast. Anything I've ever done in that moment of doing it, whether it was when I got into content creation, when I started editing for other people,
That feel like you broke your own barriers.
I feel like in a lot of ways, I feel like I broke my own barrier because doing something, putting it together, and then doing it out loud for other people to critique or comment on, it's not easy. But in doing this, it's allowing me to get out of my own way, to build up the reps so that the level of nervousness that I have with offering something to the world that it can be judged, it's allowing me to feel less and less of that. I don't feel like putting this out, I'm going to be judged, because what I learned in putting this out is it's not really about me. Yeah, it's sparked from my journey, and this is my studio and so forth and so on. But there is a level of connecting with other men on their journey and just creating a space where the energy can be supportive, takes the focus off of me and my ego and what people are going to think about me. And it's more about what is the mission? What is the purpose? You know what I mean? So this podcast is a 100% direct reflection of overcoming that space in myself that allows me to fold in and be small and not be so vocal and out loud. It's allowing me to blossom. You know what I mean?
It's allowing you to grow.
Yeah. What about you? What was something that you did that helped you kind of break the barrier and get out of your own way a little bit?
For me, a time where I felt like I broke my own barrier. That's a really good one.
I mean, you are in martial arts. You
Yeah, pretty much the time when I did my first belt promotion. Because I was not ready. Even though we were training and stuff, I wasn't in combat club. I wasn't in extreme skills. So I was new to it. And I was kind of scared that I would mess up.
Okay.
So I just pushed myself. I pushed myself over my limit.
Okay.
And got my first actual belt.
And now look at you. 8 belts later.
White, yellow, black. Yeah, 8 votes.
Know what I mean?
Because
Boom.
there's white, olive yellow,
Mm-hmm.
olive orange,
Mm-hmm.
and then, oh wait, yeah, olive orange. And then I'm in green, white now.
Nice. Nice. See that? Next question. Category.
6. Category number 6.
Mm-hmm.
The role of self reflection and personal growth.
Mm.
How has self reflection played a role in your journey to self trust?
That's it?
Hmm.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, it looked like you was about to read some more.
No, I was going to the different category.
So read that one to me again.
Number 6.
Mhm.
6th category. The role of self reflection and personal growth. How has self reflection played a role in your journey to self trust?
How has on my journey to self trust? You said self confidence. How does self confidence?
How has self reflection
Self
played a
reflection.
role in your journey to self trust?
Got you. So self reflection has played a huge role in self trust or self confidence because you don't know where you're going until you know where you've come from. And just because I'm used to doing something a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right way or appropriate way every time. And doesn't mean that there isn't another way to do it or a more efficient way to do it. So with self-reflection, taking the time to take the space or making the time to make the space to think about my day, to think about my week, to think about my life, and what do I like about it, what don't I like about it, and the things that I don't like about it, can I change them? Is there a way to adjust? Is there a way to bring something that is a lot more beneficial in this space that I can be of more service, not just to myself?
Be more aware of.
Hmm?
Be more aware of.
Well, be more aware of, because when you're self-reflecting, you're bringing awareness of yourself. You're bringing a certain level of exploration to how you think and what you do and when you do it and why you do it.
And how you do it.
Exactly. So self-reflection has exponentially changed because I'm not getting settled in my ways. I'm not being stuck by moving like this and talking like this and being like this, where I can change it up as much as I want to. I can be as fluid as I want to be because I'm taking the time to think about what I'm doing and what I'm saying and how I'm being wherever I'm at. You know what I mean? How about you? Do you self-reflect? Are you at a space now at 10 years old where you are self-reflecting, you are thinking about what you're doing, what you're saying?
Because now that I'm growing, I'm developing more into my life. I'm learning more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm self reflecting a lot. Self reflection has played a major role in my journey to self trust because I remember one time, this was a long time ago, like, I think this was right after COVID ended. Yeah, right after COVID.
Okay.
I was in second grade, or I was about to start second grade.
Okay.
I was like, Mom, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I'm going to be good in Great Oaks. But I was. I pushed myself, even though it was the the two most miserable years of my life.
I hear you.
Discovery has changed a lot
Mm-hmm.
from my from Great Oaks to here.
Transformation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what did I say? Transportation?
Yeah. It's all good. I done said so many things that it is what it is. You know, everything's not going to be perfect. So trying to be perfect is an impossibility. You know what I mean? Do you self-reflect on the type of student you were in Great Oaks versus Discovery?
Oh, absolutely.
And what are you doing differently now versus then? Or are you even in a space where you're thinking about what you did then versus now?
So basically, like the differences from Great Oaks to Discovery.
But with yourself, not with the school, but how you are. Like,
Yeah.
do you listen more? Do you pay attention more? Do you talk less? Do you talk more? Like, what are the differences between how you were then and now?
Well, the homework in Discovery is way harder than Great Oaks.
Okay.
I do talk. I talk similarly. The teachers are way nicer than the other ones because the teachers at Great Oaks, they were just mad stressed over basically nothing.
I hear you. To you, maybe nothing, but
Well, a few teachers, they were stressed.
I hear
Mostly
you.
my ELA teachers.
But what have you noticed about yourself in the change from one school to the next?
I have grown more maturely.
Okay.
I think I'm starting to think more about my actions and what I do.
Okay.
I'm getting smarter, of course. But yeah, I'm developing a lot ever since Great Oaks.
Okay. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. And I'm proud of you too, man. You know, we have our fair share of differences in terms of your behavior and stuff like that.
Oh,
But
plenty times.
I can say that I am seeing you mature, and I appreciate you taking on the responsibility of your maturation,
You're welcome.
you know? So, yeah. Next category.
Seventh category, mindfulness and living with intention. How has mindfulness helped you live more intentionally?
How has mindfulness helped me live more intentionally? Being mindful of the fact that I don't experience myself from outside of myself, meaning I don't know what it feels like to be on the other side of my words or my actions or my thoughts or my responses or my reactions. So being more mindful of where my feet are placed, where my mind is, where my heart is, where my intentions
Where your
are.
soul is?
Well, that too.
Well,
Um,
where your mind is, pretty much.
yeah, yeah. So there's a it just I know I'm not on this planet by myself, and I know I don't exist in the spaces that I exist in by myself, and it allows me to check myself, to check my ego, to check where I'm at, to feel out what's happening inside of me. You know what I mean? As far as like emotionally and all of those other things. So yeah, it's being mindful. Um, just keeps everything checked and balanced. You know. Next one.
Eighth category,
Mm-hmm.
the connection between thoughts, feelings, and actions.
Mm.
What happens when your thoughts, feelings, and actions don't align? Nah, I know that has a good one.
When my thoughts, feelings, and actions don't align, I'm not my full self. I move erratically. I don't make the best sound decisions. What I'm thinking doesn't cause what my feelings. If I'm thinking bad and I'm feeling bad, then the outcome of my actions aren't good actions. It's not to say that I'm out here wilding, but it's to say that I'm not fully present in what purpose I'm supposed to be fulfilling in that moment, right? I'm I procrastinate when it's not aligned. I not present and aware when it's not aligned. It's just not the most efficient place to be in any category when it's not aligned. Which is why I'm practicing doing more things to be in alignment, working out, eating better, watching less TV, not being on social media as much. Certain things that I'm bringing into my field is so that I can stay in alignment with
your
my
thoughts,
my
feelings,
feelings,
and
and emotions, and my actions.
same, kind of the same thing.
So, see, I misspoke. I said emotions, but it was actions. But again, yeah, I could leave it there. What about you? Do you think about how you think and how you feel and how that reflects on what you do?
When my thoughts, feelings, and actions don't align, it's like what you said. I'm not my true self. Um, I argue with you guys. I tend to just say stuff randomly. I don't. I'm not aware of what I do.
Impulsive.
Yeah. I'm not aware of what I say. I'm not aware of what I do. Yeah.
Okay. Next category.
Next. Ninth category. Letting go of external validation. What role did external validation play in your hesitation to trust yourself?
What role did external validation play in
What role did did external validation play in your hesitation to trust yourself?
easy by becoming a people pleaser? So for a long time, I operated in the space of being a people pleaser because I was worried about what people had to say,
Like what people
would think.
thought about you.
Exactly. And it led me to be gun shy. Like the things that I know are good ideas, like actually putting the time, effort, and energy to bring it to life.
You thought that it wasn't a good idea?
Not that I didn't think it was a good idea, but if you're basing what you do off of what somebody else thinks, it's never going to be good enough. It's never going to be perfect enough. It's never going to be the right kind of whatever. There's always going to be something that you find in it that you pick apart because it's based on somebody else's thoughts, somebody else's perception. So a long time being a people pleaser, I would only do things that didn't rock the boat, meaning I wouldn't say something that was going to cause an argument, or I wasn't going to say something that wasn't really like the status quo of what other people were saying. Not on everything, but a good amount of things where it affected how I was living my life, the type of friends that I had, the type of situations that I would be in, the type of jobs that I would work, so forth and so on.
So
It affected a
basically,
lot.
you did all of these things,
Mm-hmm.
not up to now, but like earlier,
Mm-hmm.
back in your days. That felt weird coming out of my mouth.
You know, in the 1900s.
The 1800s.
Watch it now.
So what you did in the past, you only did because you were afraid of what other people think. Like you thought you would be a loser,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good assessment of it,
Oh,
which is why I tell you that it's important to protect how you feel about yourself, because you could be in school, being quote unquote a square. There's somebody in your class bugging out doing something that you know you ain't supposed to be doing. And because they gonna think that you are a loser or a punk or a chicken or whatever.
I want some chicken right now.
Chicken sounds good. That because they think that way, that you will not do the right thing that you know is the right thing, that you won't make a decision that won't put you in harm's way. You know? So it's important to have that sense of self confidence, that trust, so that You don't fall into the trap like I did, which was trying to be everything for everybody else leaves no room for you to be you for yourself. You get me? So, yeah. Okay. Next one.
Last category.
Okay.
10th category. The evolution of self-identity.
Mhm.
How has your sense of self evolved over time?
How has my sense of self evolved over time? How has my sense of self evolved over time? So, my sense of self has evolved over time because I started shutting what other people may think about me
About yourself.
out of it. So, my sense of self is rooted in the love that I have for myself. You know, there's a certain level of reverence that I'm learning to pour
Into
me,
yourself.
you know, because if I don't think highly about me, the people who meet me, they're not going to think highly about me either. And if I treat myself like crap, I'm teaching other people how to treat me like crap too. I ain't crap. My name is not Toilet. My name is Baith. So you're not about to just shove crap on me and think that that's okay. You know what I mean? But I also protect my mind. I read books. I watch other podcasts. I listen to things that enrich my mind, that enrich my my capacity to see the world um, from a space of love and not a space of fear and not a space of shame and not a space of guilt or none of those things. It just gives me room to breathe. You know what I mean? Having fun over there? Yeah. Fixing your little bracelet. It's a nice bracelet. So what about you? Do you have an answer for that question? Do you want to answer that question for yourself, or can we get to the tips?
My sense of self evolved over time.
Right.
I think it has. It definitely has.
Okay.
Because I've definitely matured over the years.
Okay.
My sense of self has grown over time. Because just like you, I used to think that I used to do stuff because of what other people thought of me.
Yeah.
Like
Try to do interrupt class because you think it's funny and other people think it's funny.
like I'll do it, but like if the teacher's not really doing anything
Mm-hmm.
and we're supposed to be like chatting about stuff,
Mm-hmm.
then I'll do it. But not loud, like obnoxiously.
But we working on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That is good. Well, I appreciate you for chiming in on this part.
You're welcome.
If you want to read some tips, I'll pass you the phone or whatever. But I'm gonna start reading some tips to the categories to kind of help some people because some of these actually stuck out to me. Like when I was reading the tips when chat was coming up with them, I was like, man, this is cool. So the journey to self-trust, right? One of the tips that it gave was start small.
Mm-hmm.
Begin by trusting yourself with minor decisions to gradually build confidence, right? It reminds me of this book that I read called, it's not the one thing, but basically in the book they were talking about something called a cornerstone change. Do you know what that means?
No.
So a cornerstone change is by changing this one thing, it actually changes a bunch of other things because that thing has changed, right? So one of the things is going to bed at a certain time and waking up at a certain time. By going to bed at a certain time, it's allowed me to, one, hold myself accountable to something super small. It's going to bed. But by doing that, I get enough sleep. And by getting enough sleep, My brain is functioning better. I have a certain level of energy when I do sleep well. I'm not all snacky throughout the day, so I'm not eating food that doesn't really help me health wise.
It doesn't really sit with you that well.
Exactly. So it it's changing my habits because I'm focusing and being more intentional about actually getting good quality sleep. So that's a good start small that I implemented for myself. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, not eating sweets. That's another thing.
What specifically Monday, Monday,
Mondays.
Monday,
Uh-huh.
Wednesday, and Thursday or Friday?
Friday.
Right.
So those are also my workout days. So
Oh,
on my workout days, I'm doing the best that I can do on my workout days by eliminating the fluff, eliminating some of those um, things that aren't necessarily healthy practices or habits, right? So, yeah, overcoming fear of certainty. Um, this one actually sticks out. Focus on the benefits. Think about how being certain about yourself will positively impact your life and relationships. So, being certain about myself or being certain about yourself does lend you to be more flexible in moments. You don't have your guard up as much. You don't feel the need to protect yourself from every and anything when the space that you give or that you lend to where your energy is, it allows you to kind of be present where your feet are and not escaping in your mind and your emotions where you're not. You know, the bill is due when the bill is due, and there's no obsessing about the bill not getting paid that's going to change the fact that the bill still needs to get paid or the bill is due. So if I'm somewhere engaging with other people, having that as the main thing in my mind quiets all of the interaction, all of the things that could be happening beneficial in that space that I'm in. So by having a certain level of sureness about me, I can move in a little bit more confidence, a little bit more trust for myself, and it has been working. Living with purpose. What does it mean? 3, identify your values, create a vision, be intentional daily. The being intentional daily is like today, like Monday. Monday is record day, it is edit day, it is clip day, it is schedule day. It's like all of working on the podcast and not just working in the podcast. It's a little bit of both. It's recording and it's making sure that the recording gets the level of attention that it needs to get out and do what it need to do. So that that's actually something that I'm doing unknowingly. 4, the power of authentic living. Embrace vulnerability, set boundaries, collaborate, celebrate uniqueness. So one of the things that I've been doing in this category is 2 of them, embracing vulnerability and setting boundaries, but the setting boundaries, create boundaries that protect your authentic self, ensuring you're not compromising to please others. So like I was saying to Kingston, that a big portion of my life was being a people pleaser. And in doing so, my boundaries were shot. My boundaries weren't really ironclad boundaries. Like, they can move it a little bit and it's not crazy because I understand where they coming from and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if I'm compromising who I am in order to appease or allow space for somebody else. I'm not really being myself because I'm allowing the parts of myself that don't really jive with that or don't really rock with that or don't really dabble in whatever that is, I'm allowing space for even the inkling of that thing to get in. And that's not a vibe, like at all. So creating boundaries is a very surefire way to being more authentic, because you're not taking no shit. You're not taking no shorts when it comes to who you are and who you're being. So that was good. Breaking free from self-imposed limitations. These are some of the tips. Change your thoughts. Focus on possibility. Surround yourself with positivity. So focusing on possibilities and surrounding myself with positivity has always been the thing. Even challenging my thoughts has always been like a thing. Because even with people pleasing, after the moment has passed, when that dirty feeling rushed over me of like, damn, I let my boundary down again, or damn, I didn't stand firm in what it was that um, I intended to stand firm in. Thinking about the glass half empty as opposed to glass half full. I have a glass that I can always put something in has always been like my mindset. So thinking positive and surrounding myself with positivity has always been like the framework or the foundation of where my thoughts and where my feelings and where my emotions have come from. Because possibilities are endless. And instead of the knee jerk reaction of, well, what if it goes wrong? What if it goes right? It's mad easy to bring negative energy in, because it's just the pulse of what society is built off of. It's built off of a lot of negative energy. I mean, you look at social media, there's something that could be super, super positive, and even in that super, super positive thing, you'll still find people who have something negative to say. Versus something that is negative, you have all kinds of people commenting on the negative thing and the negative thing and the negative thing, and not a lot of people interject positive energy into that negative post. It'll be just a bunch of negative, circumventing negative happening. And I believe it's because possibilities aren't plentiful for a lot of us. And to see something other than a negative outcome, or to see something other than a negative thing, is a heavy lift for a lot of people. So I tend to keep positive energy around. I tend to give positive words or positive perspectives to the people that I meet, that I talk to, that I converse with, that I break bread with, because at the end of the day, who can't use a little bit of a spark of some positive energy? Who can't use a little bit of love or a little bit of, upliftment in some negative times? So, yeah. The role of self-reflection and personal growth: schedule reflection time, be honest with yourself, and use journaling, which is how we even got to this episode. I had journaled something that I was really feeling. It was super vulnerable for me to write it down, in terms of like, I just wanted to be honest to me. My journal, nobody's privy to my journal. It's mine. So I could write whatever I want to write in there about me and what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling and how I'm processing and all of those things. So there's a certain level of how it works, how it's working in real time. That's like, nah, I can attest to all of this stuff, right? Because being honest with myself is what made me journal. And journaling was just a moment of self-reflection. I was in the shower, and every time I'm in the shower, I started to keep my phone by me, or in the shower with me, just in case if I have these thoughts, I can just jot them down or I can make a quick voice note so that I'll have it and I won't lose it. Because there's plenty of times I've been in the shower and I'm thinking like, man, this is such a dope thought. This is such an ill concept that, um, it got lost in translation because I just didn't take the time to make the space. And now that I'm taking the time to make the space, even if that's for you, what if in your whole day you don't have no time to do any self-reflection? That time in the shower, that 15 or 20 minutes or 30 minutes or however long, no shade. It could be an 8-minute shower. As long as you get all the parts, I'm cool. But in that moment, that could be your space to reflect on your day. What did you do? What didn't you do? How can you do it better? What is carrying over from today to tomorrow, and why is it carrying over? Is it because you didn't put enough time and effort to get it done? Is it because the level of distractions won and getting it done just lost to distractions? Was it is it because it just wasn't enough time to get it done and you were doing the best you can to get it done, and it just so happens some energy or some remnant of it has to get done the following day? There's a lot of that in there, but it's important. It's important to take the time to make the space for yourself. Because if we're constantly, and I speak for myself, at the time when I was people pleasing, I'm spending so much energy giving it to everybody else that I'm not even mindful that I'm not giving none to myself. My health is declining. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm a barber and I'm not cutting my hair. How? Like how? How am I walking around looking like I need a barber and I'm one? Stuff like that. 7, mindfulness and living with intention. Develop a mindfulness practice. Set clear intentions. Reassess throughout the day. So this is what I'm working on. This book that I'm just finished listening to, called The One Thing, was talking about time blocking and how important time blocking is, especially in whatever capacity of career professionalism you have, right? It was saying like at a 9 to 5, the first 4 hours is probably your most effective time. And if you can block that time off, the likelihood of you accomplishing the thing that you're setting out to, you actually have, there's a very much more high chance to accomplishing that. And that came from being mindful that I'm not getting shit done the way that I want to get shit done. Because if everything is important, then nothing's important. And for a long time, everything is just important. I'm still navigating my way out of that because offering this podcast, offering this platform, putting together this space, I feel like is needed because it's just needed. We were all born into patriarchy. None of us chose we want a
Like
matriarchal. Yeah, nobody chose it. So it's like we're all born into this way of doing things that a lot of us don't agree with. A lot of us don't resonate with it. And it doesn't necessarily help by going along to get along. It does help by crafting some level of mindfulness to who you are and what you're doing and who you're around and why you're around them and what's the motivation and all of that other good stuff. So a tangent, I don't want to go super, super deep on that, but I just want to provide some steps that may or may not help. Number 8, the connection between thoughts, feelings, and actions. Practice self-awareness. Use thought replacement or reframing, and act on alignment. If it don't feel right, I ain't fucking with it. That's just kind of what it is. Especially now. Now, there's a podcast that I follow, and they were discussing how to go where the love is, right? I'm only going where the love is. And at this phase, this point, it's true. I'm going where the energy is reciprocated. If I'm coming in with love and positive energy and, high vibration, I ain't going nowhere where it's the opposite. I'm just not doing it. And this level of connective energy between what you think, what you feel, and what you do says a lot. It does. Because whatever I'm doing, am I even connected to this thing emotionally? Am I in this thing because I see the value of putting my energy into it? Or am I just blindly going along to get along? Am I thinking at a high level of whatever it is I'm doing? Because if I'm thinking a high level, then more than likely the feeling that is connected to that high level is vibrating high. And there's nothing that I will allow to drag it down into something that is not. So, number 9, letting go of external validation. Focus on self-approval, limit social comparison, collaborate your achievements or celebrate your achievements. I totally read that crazy. But the 2 out of this, limit social comparison, always say that it's collaboration over comparison, right? Because if I'm comparing myself to you and your journey, I'm also doing a disservice to myself because the talents, the gifts, the resources, the perspective, the upbringing, the incubation of who you became in order to do what you do, comparing myself to that is an impossible it's an impossible thing to make the math because it doesn't. We ain't grow up the same. And even if you do, you can grow up in the same household and not think the same thoughts, not feel emboldened to the same standards, like, or beholden to the same standards. There's a lot in there. So why compare myself to what you want versus just self-reflecting enough and what I want is what I want. And it's not in comparison to nobody else. Listen, want what you want. And I hope you get what you want. But that ain't got nothing to do with me and what I want. You know what I'm saying? So that has helped a lot for myself, and focusing on self-approval. Before seeking external validation, ask yourself whether you are happy with your choices and actions. That is a game changer. Because for me now, at 44, it's completely about being fulfilled. Am I fulfilled in what I'm doing, what I'm saying, what I'm putting my energy into, what I'm a part of, what I'm swinging the banner for? Like, all of those things, to me, is more valuable because there's a level of I'm satiated, I'm satisfied. This thing that I'm doing, that I'm putting my energy into, I feel a certain sense of like charge from it. And by feeling that sense of charge from it, I get more energized to continue to do it. When it's getting hard and it's getting tough and I can't see my way through, it's giving me that stick-it-to-itiveness to stay at it and not just give up and throw my hands up and, oh man, it's difficult, it's hard. Yeah, it's difficult and it's hard, but because I'm channeling it from here and I'm not basing it on if somebody else is going to like it or not, if somebody else is going to be feeling it or not, if somebody else is going to be appreciating it or not, I appreciate what it's doing for me. And all I'm doing is sharing this journey to others that may or may not feel the same way. Know what I mean? 10, last but not least, the evolution of self-identity. Embrace fluidity, stay open to change, and reassess regularly. The reassessing regularly is starting to become more of a constant because doing something and 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 not coming up for air to just see what it like where we at, it's like a for sure fire way to like find yourself in trouble, to find yourself in a space that you didn't even intend. Like I heard this story about how being on a beach and swimming out to shore, swimming away from shore, that there's a drift that happens because there's currents flowing under the water that you can't see. And if you go out at a certain distance, if you just stay there in that spot, when you look back at the shore, you'll notice that you're in a completely different spot. Because even though you physically haven't moved anything to go in any direction, the current is still pushing you. The current is still moving you from wherever you were to wherever you weren't, if that makes sense. So this reassessing regularly just helps me come back to due north where I'm at and making sure my feet are planted in the right place. Like, am I exactly where I said I was going to be or where I said I wanted to be? And if I'm not,
Or
why?
what you're doing, what you want to do.
Exactly. So if I'm not, why am I not? And what do I need to do to get me back to where my feet are planted in the right place? Reassessing. So yeah, that was pretty good. Hopefully this style, because I don't want this to be an interviewee podcast. I don't want it to be like, so when you were 5, what did it feel like? And that may be a question. But it doesn't escape me that everybody's experience has nuances and context. And my hope is that through my nuances and through my context, I'm able to help somebody reflect on theirs. Help somebody reposition themselves the way I'm repositioning myself and my manhood and my meanness in this journey that is this thing called the grown man shift. So I'm going to land the plane there. I appreciate you guys rocking with me for sure. Any final thoughts, Mr. Kingston?
I would like to make a status update.
Okay.
I am now 10 years old. I started the 4th grade. It was like, 3 months ago? That started 4th grade?
Well, September. Mm-hmm.
Yes, about 3 months.
August.
No, it was September.
Okay. Oh, September 4th. Yeah.
No, it was the 3rd. I didn't go on Monday because Labor Day.
Yeah.
But no, the facts. So yeah, I think I'm doing really good in discovery. I've really evolved.
Mm-hmm.
I've matured. And
Shifted.
And yeah, this is Kingston the Redeem signing off.
I appreciate you, buddy. And again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to chop it up, you want to break bread, you want to build, please send an email to grownmanshitpodcast@gmail.com. I'm always open and willing to collaborate and chop it up. If you know anybody that you would think would love to pull up as a guest, please send them my way. If you yourself are like, yo, man, I think, yeah, I have some value I want to add, please, let's talk. And yeah, man, I really do appreciate you guys. You're watching something being built in real time that I don't have it all figured out. I don't have the map of everything put together. But what I do have, what I do know, what I can't execute on, I am. And where I need help, I'm enlisting the aid of the people and the resources that's around me. So, this is Baith Nordine, signing off. Thank you for tuning in to the Grown Man Shift. And until next time,